The carriage raced along the road to Zikola, the driver shouting at the horses to run faster. Khaled was still clinging to its back alongside a young man who stared at him in surprise at his clothes, just as Khaled, in turn, was surprised by his. As the carriage drew closer to a massive wall, the young man gestured for Khaled to jump off with him. They leapt together, and when Khaled looked ahead, he saw a colossal wall, as high as a 5-story building, adorned with exquisite carvings. A huge gate stood wide open, allowing carriages to pass in and out freely. Khaled turned to the young man and said, "Thank you." The young man replied, "Don't thank me, brother. I'm just like you. The sun nearly killed me." Khaled asked, "Are you from Zikola?" "Yes. And you? You look like a stranger." Khaled smiled. "Yes, I'm from Bahu Frik, a town near Mansoura." The young man's face filled with astonishment. "What?" Khaled quickly corrected himself, as if to cover up his slip. "I mean Egypt. I'm from Egypt." But the young man's amazement didn't fade. "What is Egypt? Is it somewhere in the north?" Khaled, equally shocked, exclaimed, "You don't know Egypt, the mother of the world?" The young man shook his head. "No, brother, I've never heard of it." Khaled fell silent for a moment, then spoke as though trying to comfort himself against the strangeness of these people. "Yes, Egypt is in the north." Then he asked, "Where exactly are we?" The young man replied, "Don't you see, brother, we are in Zikola, the land of intelligence." Khaled couldn't help but laugh. "The land of intelligence? Well, that really shows in everyone I've met here." Then he pressed on. "But tell me, what country? Which continent?" The young man frowned impatiently. "I don't understand what you mean. This is simply Zikola. Now I must leave you. I've already lost too many hours of work today, and I must make up for them." He extended his hand in farewell. Khaled shook it and said, "My name is Khaled. And I am Yaman. Good luck in the land of Zikola." With that, he turned and walked away. Khaled was still standing before the massive city gate when he finally stepped forward. The moment he passed through it, a powerful shiver ran through his body, followed by a piercing pain in his head so sharp it nearly killed him. He collapsed to his knees, clutching his head in agony, pain unlike anything he had ever felt before. The torment lasted for minutes before it began to fade, little by little, until it was as if nothing had happened. Then he rose and continued walking deeper into the city. He moved through the streets as though wandering in a dream, gazing at the people and their varied expressions. Some faces lit with smiles, others weighed down by sorrow. Their clothing, too, fascinated him, divided into several styles. The elderly men wore long robes with turbans atop their heads. The younger men and boys wore wide trousers that narrowed at the bottom, reminding Khaled of the fisherman Iwas garb he had once seen, but far more elegant. Above, they wore loose patterned shirts skillfully crafted from leather or cloth. The women wore flowing dresses in bright, vivid colors, and none of them covered their heads. Khaled could not help but notice the beauty of many of them, though he feared to let his gaze linger, uncertain of how people here might react. He admired the diversity of their attire, and the effortless elegance that seemed to mark every young man and woman in the city. As he wandered on, he marveled at the tightly clustered buildings that lined the streets. They bore the mark of expert craftsmanship, no taller than 3 stories, all built from fired brick and wood. Khaled continued walking until he came across a place that served food. His stomach growled, reminding him of his hunger. He stepped inside, sat down, and ordered a meal. Soon a man brought him bread and meat, and said with a smile, "Thank you for honoring us, wealthy one." Khaled returned the smile. "Wealthy? Again." He ate until he was full, then waited for the man to return and collect payment. But no one came. Eventually, Khaled rose and left, strength returning to his body. Further along the way, he came upon a shop where clothes were made and sold. He glanced at himself and realized he needed a proper outfit, so he would not stand out from the rest of the townsfolk. Stepping inside, he was greeted by someone who looked him up and down and asked, "You're not from Zikola, are you?" Khaled nodded silently. The man handed him suitable attire, wide trousers and a patterned cotton shirt. He refused to take any money and instead said the same words as the innkeeper. "Thank you for honoring us, wealthy one." Khaled smiled, recalling what the two strangers in the desert had told him, that he was strange because he was generous. They must have been mad, he thought, for what he had seen of the city's people so far was not just generosity, but an excess of it. He walked through the city in his new attire, his eyes wandering here and there. Soon, he noticed something he couldn't quite understand. Every place for buying or selling had numbers written on it. 10 units, 5 units. Units of what? He had no idea. He kept moving forward until night fell. To his surprise, despite the city's wealth and grandeur, electricity had not reached it yet. But just as he wondered, flames lit up across the streets, flooding the city with light. The glow was no different from the lamps he knew. It was, in its own way, another marvel of engineering. Afterwards, he sat at the side of one of the streets, fighting off drowsiness. Yet the people around him seemed busy preparing for something. Families gathered, laughter echoed, children danced in delight. He asked himself if there was some kind of festival. Indeed, it seemed so. The thought comforted him, for everyone was out of their homes, and that would ease his loneliness in this foreign place. Soon, a boy approached him. "Why are people celebrating like this?" he asked. Khaled teased the boy with a smile. "And when does it begin, then?" The boy looked at him curiously. "Why is your accent so strange?" "I'm from the north," Khaled replied. "I'm a stranger here." "You were a stranger," the boy corrected him. "But now you belong to Zikola." Khaled smiled and placed his hand gently on the boy's head. "I know Zikola is a land of generosity." The boy nodded eagerly. "Everyone is preparing today, but the true celebration will be tomorrow. It is the greatest festival in the world. People come from faraway lands, gathering on the nearby plateau just to witness it." Khaled's curiosity grew. He asked what the celebration was for, and the boy's face showed sudden surprise. "I thought you were a wealthy man," he said. "Please don't make me doubt my ability to recognize the rich." Then he continued, with a proud smile. "Tomorrow marks the festival of Zikola, the day that makes this city the most famous in history, the day that fills every soul in Zikola with joy." He paused for a moment before adding quietly, "Everyone, except for one person, of course." Khaled frowned. "And who might that be?" The boy chuckled. "It seems you don't know much about Zikola. Sir, on the day of Zikola, the poorest person in the city is sacrificed." Khaled was struck with shock when the boy told him that on the day of Zikola, the poorest person in the city would be slaughtered. He thought to himself that he must surely be the poorest among them, and the money he carried would be of no use, since he had already learned from past encounters that they did not recognize it. If what the boy said was true, then he would be the victim. His thoughts were interrupted as the boy continued. "On the day of Zikola, a contest is usually held between the 3 poorest people in the city. But tomorrow, unfortunately, one will be slaughtered immediately without any competition, because the other 2 managed to escape. Ah, if only you had seen them with my own eyes." At once, Khaled remembered the 2 he had met in the desert, and he cried aloud, "The lunatics?" The boy looked at him strangely, so Khaled quickly corrected himself and asked, "Do you mean the poor man has already been chosen?" The boy nodded. "Yes." Khaled breathed a deep sigh of relief and thanked God silently. The boy went on. "Normally in Zikola, the three poor are locked up days beforehand, and then they compete in the contest of wealth and poverty, the Zikola. Whoever loses is slaughtered. But since the other two fled, the third will certainly be killed. Then the boy pointed toward a nearby house. He is from our district. Khaled turned to look at the house, astonished. How could the owner of that house be poor? The boy soon left him and ran off to play with the others.